Okay, I'll come clean with you. Month of March, can't stand it. Never did like it much. Cold, rainy, miserable. But I tell you what, look at it right now. We have April, the sun is out, sky is blue, and I'm going to do something I've been wanting to do for quite a while. I'm taking this darn jacket off because I don't need it today. 60 degree short sleeve shirt. One other thing I've been wanting to do, put my hat on, not to keep warm, keep my head from getting sunburned. I love it. April is here. Good things are coming ahead. You stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost, and you're watching The Practical Sportsman. Oh, yes. I like it. Well, who wouldn't like it? This is the life of Riley. Or if you're not in my generation, it's the life of, well, I don't know. But we had Riley, and this was like his life. Carefree, floating along, fishing. Yeah, it was just like Riley. Two guys from Lansing make this kind of life possible. Jim Swanson and Ron Allen. Jim and Ron, J and R, they make these float boats they call Pro Tubes. Now, this is the jumbo, the two-man size. It's mainly air. That's why these float tubes are so small. You let the air out of the tubes, and a big boat can fit into a small carrying case. Now, this case is the one for the smaller tube. In fact, this was their original model. They call it a kick boat with inflatable pontoons. Now, you don't blow these up like we used to, huff and puff on our air mattresses. Nah, these days you clip the wires of your portable electric pump onto your car battery. No fuss, no muss, no huff, no puff. These battery-operated pumps do an excellent job of getting, I'd say at least 95% of the air in the tubes. J&R like the pontoons to be tight and full, so they jam the last of the air in with a hand pump. This is one area where runaway inflation is encouraged. A few strokes and the tube is perfect. Jim and Ron designed their tubes with aluminum frames, so they're lightweight and strong. The old style of belly boat was just an inner tube with a hanging seat. But these new float tubes are actually like little space-age boats. These two guys make their Pro Tubes in several sizes, and for a sportsman with a small car and a small amount of time to fish, this style of airboat might be just the ticket. Now, it's not suitable for downriggers. It's more for casting around rivers and ponds.
Oh, this is too cool.
With these boats, you can really sneak up on the fish.
I don't think he's ready. He is not ready.
Well, when this Pro Tube is deflated, you can drive around town, and nobody would guess you had a boat in the back seat of your car. You'd sneak out in your lunch hour, fill it with air, fish for 20 or 30 minutes, and sneak back on the job. Is this a pretty good invention for a fishaholic, or is it goofy? Well, my experience has been that these tubes are more amazing than amusing, and I don't think that's just because I'm full of hot air either. What do you think?
I don't think I better comment on that.
Why not?
You look like you're having a good time.
I was. So you don't want to go on record saying that I'm full of hot air.
You're a float tube man.
I'm a float tube man. Yes, indeed. Those things, those hand pumps, do they come with that? You know more about this.
Yeah, well, it was packed right in there.
Right in there. But those electric pumps, I forgot how much they cost.
They're about $15 or $20. You can get them from camping supplies places to pump up your air mattresses and so forth.
Huh. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
We got to do more of that. It's getting warm now. Short sleeve shirt. I'm ready to go. Now we have another subject to get on to.
Time to change our bearings, or
change it to get our bearings. Oh, absolutely. I've never been known as a guy who was really on top of mechanical things. My vehicle, people saw the vehicle. We'll talk about that later. But let's talk getting our bearings. Good point. Good point. People have gotten pretty savvy about taking care of their cars and trucks. Changing the oil regularly, doing the regular maintenance. But sometimes we forget about those little trailers we drag behind our vehicles, whether it's campers or utility trailers or boat trailers. These trailers are pretty darn important to us. They carry our toys. Well, we're pretty rough on these trailers, whether we know it or not. We put some of them underwater, but too often we forget about the care and maintenance of the wheels. and bad things can happen at very inopportune times if we don't keep these wheels well greased and happy. Ernie from Mill Creek taught me how to treat them right. Getting new bearings and packing them, Ernie, is difficult or easy or what?
No, it's easy to do. You do just like he's doing there. Put the grease in your hand, and of course you got a clean new bearing, and you keep the edge of that bearing going into that grease until it comes out
The
top like it is right there.
Huh.
Then the bearing is packed. Then you take the bearing and just maybe a little bit extra of that grease. When you go to put it in the wheel, you just run it around the outside like so.
Now, on a trailer, whether it's a camper trailer or a boat trailer, how often would you do this?
Depending on how big the wheels are or small. If you got a 12-inch wheel, that wheel's going at 60 miles an hour. That wheel's going 3 times faster than your car wheel. A 14-inch wheel is going not as fast. A 15-inch wheel is going the same speed that you are. So therefore, the bearing is not taking the beating that those...
So the smaller wheels.
That's why I'm sure many of you people have seen small camper trailers alongside the road with jacked up with the axle off, and that's because nobody packs the bearings and they're going so fast.
Well, yeah. You know the difference between a house plant and a wheel of a boat trailer? Well, you don't need to water the trailer wheel. But the similarity between a house plant and a trailer wheel is that we water them both. And it's important to keep a boat trailer wheel well greased. And one big help is a bearing buddy.
I notice this wheel has lost its bearing buddy. So
now, bearing buddy, what you're saying is that this oftentimes, don't these just have a cap over them?
yes, they do. And lots of times people forget to take them caps off and take the wheel apart and grease them. So the manufacturers have come out with this little outfit like this, what they call a bearing buddy.
Mm-hmm.
This replaces the dust cap and also gives you a grease fitting that you can grease those wheels anytime you want to.
So how do you do this?
So this bearing buddy fits right over the top of this right here.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take the hammer, if I can do it.
What about the? There we go. Here's a little.
You get it started.
Handy tip. Right in.
Now she's in.
That's in. That's solid. That's going to stay.
That's solid. Then you take your grease gun.
Oh, I see. That's a Zerk fitting in there.
That's right.
And you're filling up the bearing buddy with grease.
And it's also filling the wheel, forcing out any water or anything that's in there.
Well, does this replace packing the bearings?
That's right.
It does?
Replaces taking the wheel off and forcing out all the...
Okay, I see. So
okay,
that
now
spring
see this little breather hole?
Yeah.
See where grease is just now start? That means that it's full.
Give it one more, just little teeny pump, and then the grease should come out of there, right?
See it?
Okay, there we go.
That means that
That's
the wheel is full.
So what you do is you periodically just pump this up with the grease to fill it up.
When you look in there, there's a spring in there that forces, always puts pressure on that. When that spring is way in there, you just take 4 or 5 pumps of grease and fill it up.
So that replaces packing the bearings, which is, well, that's a heck of a saving. Oh, and there's a cap that goes over that.
Then you put a dust cap over the top. You push in on the center of it, and that'll put suction on it so the cap don't fly off.
I see. Huh.
So you can't hardly pull it.
Yeah. So, of course, you have to take that cap off to check it.
Yeah, no, you can force that cap off. If you get just a little bit of grease and put in here.
That'll create
like
more
this,
suction.
Create more suction.
There we go. Great.
Well, that's your practical tip for this week from Ernie at Mill Creek Sports in Dexter. He fixes these things, so if you don't grease your wheels, he'll make a few bucks repairing the damage. But that's not practical. Come on, sportsmen, grease those bearings. They deserve it.
So how's that for advice coming from me, John?
That was exactly
How do-
it's a line of questioning, sir, I was going to pursue.
Yes. Why do you suppose we had to do that bearing thing anyway? People are always saying to me, "Did you pack your bearings?" Oh, like right. Bearings where?
I think it's possible that Ray down at Mill Creek might have mentioned it. Maybe you guys ought to take a look
Bring
down
that
there.
trailer down there, and that's a good thing for you folks who are kind of like me, who don't really tend to think of your bearings all the time and keeping
Drive
them
at
packed.
very high rates of speed.
Oh, hey, now you're getting personal. You're getting
It's
personal.
accurate though, but
It is, because those little tires are really moving.
they're moving 3 times the speed.
Yeah, so you should take your trailer, especially your boat trailer, if you're not going to
And
do it
generally,
yourself.
you take such good care of your vehicle.
I do. I'm famous for the vehicles. In fact, well, we might as well get on with it. We have some vehicle talk to do. I did spill that chili on the floor. We're
A
going
lot
to
of
get to that
response
in a
from
minute.
that, by the way.
And I have something new to spill, by the way. How about a big vat of venison pasta?
That sounds excellent.
Leo Stack from Bay City has a good suggestion for using venison burger from the freezer. His basic venison pasta recipe calls for browning 1.25 pounds of ground venison in 2 tablespoons of oil with 1 cup each of onions, red and green peppers, celery, and mushrooms. That's 5 cups altogether. When the meat is browned, drain the juices, and in a pan, combine the juices and 2.5 cups of chicken broth. Bring that to a boil. Drop in 8 ounces of uncooked macaroni. You stir that for about 10 minutes until all the liquid is absorbed in the macaroni while it's boiling. Stir in the venison and vegetables, along with 28 ounces of tomato sauce, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of garlic salt, some Parmesan cheese, and a tablespoon of dried parsley. Then you simmer that for 10 minutes longer. Great stuff with a little Parmesan and parsley on top. That's Leo Stack's venison pasta. The recipe is
Sent in from David Smith from Onondaga. This is the X9000.
You look at this relatively simple design here, too. You wonder what happened to the X1000.
Yes, this is it. This is your crock pot cozy, custom built for Fred Trost. Right there.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Put your crock pot right in there and set it on the seat of the car. You know what?
You know how that slides, though, on carpet?
I know how it slides. And it would hit something like a trailer ball back there and go like that. No, anyway, these are good ideas. These are great ideas, and we will be putting these in our publication and coming out with.
Are you serious?
Yes, but the question is, of course, is this amazing or amusing? Which I think is a good way to go to our next feature.
That it is.
I want you to shoot this 12 gauge. You shoot it right down at that clanging plate.
Okay.
Okay? And this is a regular 12 gauge, 1 1/8 ounce load. Mossberg, just rack it, and you'll be ready. I want to know how this feels when you're done. Has a recoil pad.
Sense safety, isn't it? Or no?
It's ready to fire.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Not bad, was it? Okay, he's loving it. Try a 3.5-inch shell. The only difference is it has twice as much shot and enough powder to send it out the barrel at about the same speed.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Yeah. Took my nose off.
Now you know about equal and opposite reaction.
Sure do, man.
Well, that little demonstration was done a few years ago at one of our outdoor fairs. Seeing it live was funny, but even better is replayed on videotape in slow motion. This guy thumbs his nose when he touches off that 3.5-inch Magnum. Ooh, right in the schnoz. The look on his face tells the story. He really doesn't have to say a thing. And here we have a 375 H&H Magnum, a supersized rifle cartridge, actually an elephant gun. These guns pack a walloping wallop. Actually, they're no fun to shoot.
Well, I'm hoping it's not going to be as bad as I think it's going to be.
Well, that's a good attitude.
So, I don't know. It doesn't look too bad. I've always wanted to shoot a big bore, so.
That's a
try her.
full-blown elephant gun.
Well, this demonstration was done at the Outdoor Fair last July in Brighton, sponsored by Answer Products, who say they have an answer for heavy recoil.
Oh,
Nothing, is it?
there's nothing there. It doesn't, there's no kickback at all.
Lift her all the way up. There you go.
And why is that?
combination of the muzzle brake and the pad, you've got your kick twice. There's two forms of recoil. You have primary recoil and secondary recoil. The primary recoil starts as the powder ignites in the cartridge and the barrel starts forcing down the barrel. You've got an equal reaction for every action.
Sure.
Okay, so that's your primary recoil. When it gets to the brake, the end of the brake disperses the gas in 360 degrees, which gives you your secondary recoil and takes up the rest of the recoil. So you've got probably a 78% recoil reduction on this 375. The recoil is probably less than a 270.
Now, Dennis, that wasn't the most clear explanation of the physics of secondary recoil I've ever heard, but the point is that a muzzle brake on the end of a rifle barrel can significantly reduce the recoil.
Okay, we're going to load her up. Don't put your finger on the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Put your ears on. Now, this is a 7mm Magnum. Hold it into your shoulder real tight. Wrap your hand around the grip. Your hand around the grip down here, remember? Trigger finger up. Okay. Pull it into your shoulder as tight as you can. And squeeze her out. That was a 7mm Magnum. How'd it feel?
It had a kick.
Yeah, but did it hurt?
No.
See?
Well, Chanel Jones from Southgate wouldn't say it didn't if it did. Answer Products will be at the rifle range at the 1997 Outdoor Fair the weekend of July 12th and 13th at the Livingston Conservation Association in Brighton. Now, the fair is a real kick in a lot of ways. That's July 12th and 13th. We celebrate the shooting sports at the Practical Sportsman Fair.
Kyle Messenger from Drummond Island. Now, this you've heard about, a pink salmon, a pinhook. This is the one half of the pinhook family. One of the parents of a pinhook is this size, and the other is the chinook salmon, like you saw. Now, up in Drummond Island, this is a 4.5 pounder, by the way, from St. Mary's River, which is a big one. Now, you're from Drummond, huh?
Yep.
And from, what's the name of that resort?
Birch Tree Resort.
Birch Tree Resort. On our guide report. Where's Donna? Where's your parents?
It is. My dad.
Oh, there. Oh, okay. There. Okay. Oh, Mom is still back up there. Okay. Well, Matt calls every week to find out what the report is up there. Now, why aren't you giving us the report if you're catching the fish?
Because?
Because that's just the way it is. You're out fishing all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you catch a lot of these up there? Have you caught many?
Yeah.
Okay, you get to live up there in Drummond Island, way up north across the bridge. You get to fish a lot.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. They let you off school for the opening of deer season? Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, you got a lot to look forward to up there.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, congratulations on that. That's a whopping pink salmon.
This isn't a still photograph. It's a live deer on videotape caught by the cameras of Dennis and Penny Aldrich from Lake City. This video was taken at the end of February of a little buck that has an unusual condition. I'm not talking about its little antlers. I'm referring to its lack of a front leg. Now, this missing leg is quite a mystery to me, not only how it happened, but how the deer has survived without it. Dennis and Penny say the buck gets around. In fact, they just saw it this past Monday. It comes into their backyard feeding station in the evenings. This deer doesn't really seem troubled by the precarious position it's in with only 3 legs, but the fact is, this deer would be easy prey for a pack of coyotes, or what's really common at this time of year is packs of domestic dogs. Now, I'm talking about people's pets, Fido, Bowser, that run together in rural areas. Even the most docile house dog will show a wild side if it teams up with other dogs for a romp in the woods. This time of year is when packs of domestic dogs give deer the most trouble. Just running does that are carrying fawns, they can stress those does, and it doesn't help the fawns that they're carrying either. Now, this little buck has to worry about house dogs that get on the loose for a few hours. Dog packs do kill deer if they get the chance. So please, if you live in the country, especially at this time of year, don't let your best friend run in the woods. Keep him inside or confined. Now, how did this buck lose the leg? Now, that's a mystery. You'd think that if it got shot off or knocked off by a car, the deer would have bled to death. Mother Nature did a spectacular job of plastic surgery if it was an injury. I mean, it healed amazingly well. We just don't know. This remains the mystery of the three-legged buck. Fairs. Seeing it live was funny, but even better is replayed on videotape in slow motion. This guy thumbs his nose when he touches off that 3.5-inch Magnum. Ooh, right in the schnoz. The look on his face tells the story. He really doesn't have to say a thing.